I will repeat it in English. Good afternoon, everyone. We have two last sessions of the conference. Will be mainly in English, but each of the sessions has one presentation in Hebrew. So we have earphones from English to Hebrew and from Hebrew to English. So, and we'll give time between when we move from English to Hebrew, we will give time a few minutes. So if you want to take the earphones to the Hebrew lecture, you'll have time also to get it. And because we don't have 200 earphones, I think only 70 or 50 or something like this. So please use them only when you need them, and let others. כן. כן, אז אני גם אגיד את זה גם בעברית. יש לנו כמות מוגבלת של אוזניות, אז אם אתם לא צריכים את זה להרצאה הספציפית הזו, שתהיה, זאת אומרת שתהיה הצעה בעברית, תוכלו להשאיר את זה למי שכן צריך את האוזניות, וכן להפך. אז אני מקווה שהייתי מובן, או שלא עשיתי סתם בלגן, אבל אם לא, בסוף זה יעבוד. המושב הבא עוסק בחקר תל שילה, ויש לנו הכבוד שאת המושב הזה תנהל דוקטור ליאורה פרויד, שהיא ארכיאולוגית ותיקה ומנוסה, עבדה במשך שנים בחפירות גם בנגב עם יצחק בית אריה וגם בתל הזקה וגם ברמת רחל, ובעצם היום כל מי שעוסק בקרמיקה של סוף תקופת הברזל וראשית התקופה הפרסית לא יכול להצליח אם הוא לא מתייעץ עם ליאורה. יצא לי הכבוד בדוקטורט שלי לשבת, בעיקר לעמוד נראה לי, נכון? עמדנו יותר משהשבנו במשך שעות ארוכות וימים שלמים כדי ללמוד ממנה קצת על הקרמיקה של התקופה. ובנוסף ליאורה גם שותפה בניתוח הקרמי של החפירות בשילה. אז ליאורה, בבקשה.
תודה אהרון, ותודה למי שהזמין אותי להיות פה יושב ראש, ואהרון באמת העביר את הכמה דקות עד שכולם התארגנו עם האוזניות. אז כן, מושב מיוחד לכבוד שילה, והחפירות בשילה התחילו כבר בשנת 1915 על ידי שמיט, שקצת סקר וחפר בתל. לאחר מכן הייתה משלחת של הדנים מ-1926 עד 1929, מ-1981 עד 1984 משלחת של אוניברסיטת בר אילן בראשות ישראל פינקלשטיין, שלמה בוימוביץ' ז"ל וצביקה לדרמן, שחפרה והוציאה דוח מלא, וחפירות קטנות לאורך השנים דרך קצין מטה של זאב יבין, של בני הר אבן, שנערכו באתר. בשנים האחרונות רעות לוויתן בן אריה, שאנחנו נשמע אותה לקראת סוף המושב, חופרת באתר, והמשלחת של דוקטור סקוט סטריפלין מטעם הסמינר המקראי. אז סקוט סטריפלין משמש כראש הסמינר המקראי ומנהל המכון לארכיאולוגיה המקראית בטקסס. הוא ניהל בעבר את החפירות בחירבת אל מקטיר וחפר גם בעבר הירדן. השיג את הדוקטורט שלו באוניברסיטת אברייטס אינטרנשיונל, ונשים את המנהלים של החברה הארכיאולוגית למזרח הקרוב. בחפירה שותפים גם בשנים האחרונות גם אהרון טבגר מטעם הקמת. סקוט ירצה ביחד עם גרי אורי, שלא נמצא כרגע, אבל ההרצאה משותפת לשניהם, והוא ירצה על ממצאים גליפטיים שנמצאו בחפירה שלו בתל שילה. סקוט, בבקשה.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Aaron, for giving me the time slot right after lunch so everyone is sleepy. It's good to be with you. A number of people to thank. First of all, Aaron, Benny, Eyal, Miriam, all the staff from Kamat, thank you for organizing the conference. Christoph Eulinger, who's collaborating with us on the Glyptic finds from Shiloh and their publications. ABR, which is our sponsoring organization. My employer, the Bible Seminary, who lets me be gone all summer and do this amazing work. Veritas International, which is Gary's university, and the Near East Archaeological Society. This is Tel Shiloh. When I was beginning the project in 2016, what I wanted to do was to connect the work that the Danish had done on the northwestern quadrant with the work that Bar-Ilan had done on the northeastern quadrant, and then open up the northern slope so that we would be more sure in our interpretations. When we're doing a narrow area, there's more room for error. So I wanted to open up a broader area and then hopefully bring all the levels down so that we could better understand what life was like during these critical periods. This is what the grid looks like. So when I'm referring to the Glyptic finds, you'll be able to sort of get an idea of the squares. It's a little complicated because Bar-Ilan had one grid and the Danish had another grid. One's true north, one's magnetic north, and we have to kind of bring it all together. The Glyptic finds from Shiloh are very interesting. We just completed season 8 yesterday, and so this data is only up through season 7. But the ABR SOA expedition discovered so far 37 stamp seals and impressions. 18 of those are scarabs, so just over half of the Glyptic finds are actually scarabs. To give you some perspective, the Danish discovered 3 scarabs in their excavation, Bar-Ilan discovered 5 scarabs, and we have so far discovered 18. Most of our scarabs date to Egypt's Second Intermediate period. They're generally classified as Bintor's early or late Palestinian series or Brandel's early and late Middle Bronze Age Canaanite series. These items and their analyses come from our collaboration, that is mine and Gary's with Christoph Eulinger, and the SSSL project, that's the Stamp Seals of the Southern Levant project, and most are pending publication, though some have already been published, as you will see. This first one I think you'll find interesting. This is our Object 600. It's a Hathor scarab, design class 10D2. It has the Hathor symbol or the goddess head on it. It's part of Bintor's late Palestinian series. It dates to MB3 or earlier. It was discovered in an Iron Age 1 context in area H1, and the parallels come from Jericho, Shechem, Tel El Ajul, Tel El Farah South, and Jerusalem. The next one is Object 1100. Gary and I published this in Judea and Samaria Research Studies last year. It is an Anra scarab, design class 3C. It has Egyptian signs and symbols that are the formulae, Bintor's late Palestinian series, and it also dates to MB3. It was discovered in stratum 7, which is the Middle Bronze Age stratum at Shiloh, in area H1 in an MB3 context. It also has parallels from familiar places, including Megiddo and Tel Nagila. It has the Anra composition. Now, the Anra composition is very interesting, and we're not sure what it means, because some scholars would argue that Anra is just a form of gibberish. It's not really saying anything. Others would argue that it's kind of a poor local Canaanite imitation of true Egyptian high vocabulary, if you will. And still others would argue that it's formulaic. It's a type of curse or an amulet when you read the Anra. And so that's what you have actually on this inscription, is that Anra configuration. The next one is Object 1282, and it's very interesting. It has the sedge plant, which is class 3B5, and that always signifies Upper Egypt. It's part of Bintor's late Palestinian series, and it also dates to MB3 or earlier. It was discovered in a mixed Iron Age 2 to early Roman context. It's very interesting. We just finished season 8, and we are deeper in all of the areas in the Bronze Age context, so you would expect that we would have had more this season than any other season. And we, in fact, only had one scaraboid from this entire season, whereas in mixed context, we found a lot, surprisingly. The parallels also come from Jericho, Tel El Ajul, Tel El Farah, and of course, these are sites that Petrie excavated very early on, those two in particular, and then Kabri. It is representative of Upper Egypt because of the sedge plant, and if I can point that out, I'm not sure how visible that is. I don't think you're seeing that. Anyway, the sedge plant at the top is that symbol of Upper Egypt, and this was also published in our JSRS article last year. This next one is maybe my favorite. This is an impression on a handle, and you can see the handle in the bottom right corner. And of course, we wash all of this pottery and check it before anything is discarded, and we save what we're going to publish. So we could tell right away that it was some sort of an impression, but as we studied it later, it became very interesting. And so I'll tell you why in just a second. It's a seal impression, likely from a scarab, almost certainly from a scarab. It's design class SC3, a coiled and woven pattern. The graphic artist, along with Christoph Uehlinger with the SSL project, believed that it was impressed by Shiloh 14, that is Bar Ilan 7257. So here we have an example of a previous excavation's scarab that made this impression, and so now we can see how they were being used. So this is really quite rare and quite interesting. We have a similar situation with another glyptic, which is not part of my presentation today, but a cylinder seal that's rolled on a vessel with a hunting scene. We had part of the hunting scene only to discover that in the Danish excavation, they had recovered the other part of the hunting scene. And so here's two examples, one from the Danish excavation, one from the Bar Ilan excavation, where we take the glyptics, we can actually combine them together then to get the entire picture. It dates to the MB2 or MB3 according to Brandl, and Brandl notes 10 parallels from similar context. And at the bottom, you can see the 1647 from the Bar Ilan excavation and how that would have impressed itself on this handle. The next one is the mythical headed figure, object 1695, design class 10A2C, standing mythical headed figure holding a cobra. It's Bentor's late Palestinian series, and it dates to MB3, discovered in a BIU dump pile. So real quickly, I will just tell you, we have gone back and done experiments using our wet sifting on dump piles at Shiloh and at other sites from 1980s excavations. For every one glyptic find, whether a scarab or a bulla, that they published, we found 4 in the dump piles. Now, we all were missing things in the past. It just illustrates how valuable wet sifting is, because we've been throwing away up to 75% of the evidence of the small finds in the past, and this illustrates that. There are no exact parallels in the southern Levant except possibly Jericho 96 and Hishbon 1. Seal impression object 3030 is very interesting because it appears just to be a jar stopper or a broken sherd. Sometimes it might even be discarded in the field in field sorting. Fortunately, we did wash it and check it, and we saw this scarab seal impression. It's design class 11B, royal or private name according to Tufnell. It dates to MB2 or MB3 according to the context. And Bentor has an interesting parallel, which I'll show you. This one is pending publication. According to Christoph Uehlinger, the translation is seal keeper of the king of Lower Egypt, great overseer of the house or palace. So very, very interesting. Here we have on our glyptics references to Lower Egypt, references to Upper Egypt, references to rulers, and this kind of helps us put the picture together of what life was like in the pre-Israelite period at ancient Shiloh. Now, the find spot of this one is very clear. You can see in our area H where the burn level is. That's a very clear burn destruction level, which we radiocarbon dated to 1350 BCE. 1350 BCE, that's mid-14th century. It's out of that matrix that this scarab comes. So just setting on that destruction level, or just at the bottom of it, in other words, we also have human bone at Shiloh, the first human bone that we have ever found. And so you have skull pieces and bone, arm pieces and ribs and fingers. Some body was disarticulated, perhaps by dogs. But it was in this context very datable because of the Middle Bronze Age pottery that is there just beneath it, and then the radiocarbon dates, and then the scarab itself. So you can see that find spot. And this is the parallel for it from Bentor, and you can match it up pretty nicely, and you can see it's a spot-on match for our impression. And here's a good look at the hieroglyphs on it, and you just kind of take a minute to take that in. Each one of them can be read, I think, very clearly. You have examples of unilateral, bilateral, and trilateral, and it spells out very, very nicely. And so one day this will make really nice publication for Tel Shiloh. And let me just say that process matters as we recover the Glyptic finds. Number one, we have to excavate well, we have to dry sift the material. Wet sifting helps, as I've already mentioned, to greatly increase the number of small finds like scarabs, imbula, and seal impressions and so forth. And then they have to be analyzed well, hopefully in collaboration with other Glyptic experts. And then they need to be presented in conferences like this so that people understand and we have a context and we can share collegially information with each other. And then we have to present and we have to publish. And so in short, that's our Glyptics. Shiloh, possibly Silu of the Amarna text, specifically El Amarna 288. I'll be returning in October to speak at the Modin conference, and that will be my topic, El Amarna 288. And so if that interests you, you can come to that conference. Shiloh was a significant fortified Canaanite site in the central hill country of Samaria during the Middle to Late Bronze Age, and this is exhibited in the Glyptic evidence. So thank you very much for listening, and I believe we have time for questions. Yes? Yes.
I'd like to think it's a really bad typo, but it's not Palestinian period, it's Philistine period. There was no Palestinian period. You do realize that, right?
I do. I was just giving you Bentor's terminology.
You can't use that because it's inaccurate. I'm sorry.
So I apologize. I won't use Bentor's terminology in the future. Yes.
Did you see a burnt level from the Canaanite period? I thought it was only the iron one.
We have 3 burn levels at Shiloh that we've documented. There's the iron 1 level that Finkelstein found in area C. We also have that in area H, about 1070 BCE. We have the 1350 one that I just showed you, which is late bronze 2. And then we have a middle bronze 2 destruction level, very clear also. So we now have 3 clear destruction layers.
I think the city was destroyed by a fire back then too.
What caused the fires, it's hard to know. Enemy invasion, accidental fires, but yeah, big burn levels. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.